One of the biggest myths about manifestation is that you need to feel motivated for it to work. Inspired, energized, clear, ready. But if that were true, manifestation would only work on a handful of days each month. And real life just doesn't work like that. So today, I want to talk about how I script when I don't feel motivated. When I feel tired. When my mind feels noisy. When I sit down with my journal and honestly think, I don't really feel like doing this. Because this is where most people stop. They assume that lack of motivation means something is wrong. That they're out of alignment, or blocking themselves, or not doing enough. But motivation is not a requirement for manifestation. Presence is. When I don't feel motivated, the first thing I don't do is force myself to feel different. I don't try to hype myself up. I don't tell myself I should feel grateful or excited. I don't shame myself for not being in the mood. Instead, I start by meeting myself where I actually am. Sometimes that sounds like, I feel flat today. I don't really know what to write. I want this, but I'm tired of thinking about it. And I let that be okay. Because scripting isn't about pretending. It's about relationship, with yourself, and with your future. When motivation is low, I make scripting smaller. I don't sit down to write a full page. I don't try to describe my entire dream life in detail. Often, I'll write just 1 or 2 sentences. Something simple. Something honest. For example, I'm allowed to move toward my desires gently. Even when I don't feel motivated, things are still aligning. I don't need to push for this to work. And then, this is important, I stop. I don't squeeze more out of myself. I don't turn it into a task. Because consistency doesn't come from force. It comes from safety. Your nervous system needs to learn that manifestation is something you can return to without pressure. And this is something I learned the hard way. There was a time when I believed that if I didn't feel motivated, I was doing it wrong. So I'd either push myself or avoid my journal altogether. And both created resistance. What changed everything was realizing that motivation is a feeling. And feelings are temporary. Alignment is not about how you feel. It's about how you relate to how you feel. On low energy days, scripting becomes an act of self-trust rather than self-improvement. It's not, how can I become better? It's, how can I stay connected? Sometimes that connection looks like writing a sentence. Sometimes it looks like reading something I've written before. Sometimes it looks like closing the journal and resting. All of that counts. So if you've ever thought, I know scripting works, but I just can't seem to stay consistent. I want you to hear this. You don't need more discipline. You need less pressure. You don't need to feel motivated. You need to feel safe enough to show up imperfectly. So here's a gentle practice you can try the next time motivation is low. Instead of asking yourself, what should I write? Ask, what feels possible right now? Maybe it's 1 sentence. Maybe it's 1 word. Maybe it's nothing, and that's okay too. Manifestation doesn't respond to force. It responds to honesty. And the days you show up gently, those are often the days that quietly change everything. Thank you for watching. If you like this kind of content, I warmly invite you to subscribe for more. Have a blessed day.